The University of Maine system is restarting the process to find a buyer for the Hutchinson Center. Starting next week, the University of Maine will issue a new request for proposals, or RFP, for the property in Belfast. UMaine has gone through this process before, ultimately selecting a winning bid from Calvary Chapel, Belfast. However, after multiple appeals, UMS reversed course earlier this month, saying there were shortcomings in the first evaluation process. The new RFP opens at noon next Friday. Interested parties, including the 3 organizations who submitted proposals the first time, will have until 5 p.m. on Friday, November 1st, to respond.